Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Today we have March 10th and let's start with etcd community meeting. So Piotr, you have the first topic. This.
Yes, so I wanted to call out some fear around consistency, etcd consistency issues that are reported on GitHub from time to time, mostly on 3.5x versions. And as we are, as etcd, mostly a product about guaranteeing distributed consensus and consistency, and as such, reports are extremely worrying. So, wanted to, on one hand, collect whether you have some insights, like whether these are snowflakes that might be some consequences of misconfiguration or weight operations, hardware problems, cosmic rays, or actually it might be significant bugs that that requires serious addressing, and especially I think we as a community we don't have any signals in general, like what's the scales of adoption of 3.2, and whether those of us who have bigger deployments know whether these problems are appearing or not. On our end, we don't have yet 3.5 running at scale.
Yeah, anyone has any feedback or thoughts about this? So I've been also looking into the issues, and I think in one case we've seen the problem of downgrade that was, but the rest of them we don't have any way to reproduce them, or even I tried reproducing it in one case, but we were not able to do that. Yeah, so
sorry.
So the one worry, like you said, if we want to survey how many people are using in production or seeing it, maybe we should make it wider than the community meeting. But that would be good to know what are overall had some user saver for etcd, to understand what is the trend around the users, if they are staying with the older versions or trying to adopt newer.
Yes. So unfortunately, Wilson, you might also know whether you have any experience at scale with 3.5x version, or still long tail, or no scale yet.
Sorry? Yeah, I just strong. I just switched my internet. I think my internet was very bad. I just switched from Xfinity ATT, and the signal is very, very bad. Sorry. Can you repeat that again?
Yes. So we are trying to learn how confident we are about the version 3.5 in general, and for this the question is whether you have experience at scale with version 3.5, especially in aspects of consistency.
For the consistency part, I think 3.5 is there's I think so far like there was a recent like bug that about the like the bug fix we put into 3.5.2. I think that was a very important bug fix, which basically resolved some of one of the very like important like the issue that we found in our company. That is like the like because of the we forgot to hold the log while accessing the BoDB, which resulted to data inconsistencies. I think now since that part is fixed, I'm very like in our company. I think we are running this for quite a while. I think it's I mean generally it's very good. And now it's very stable.
Okay, that's good to hear. Like this was the proto manifested as proto marshalling errors rather than inconsistent revisions between versions.
We see. Oh, I see.
Yes, but okay, that's good to know. So from this, I assume like we are not that much afraid of 3.5 to potentially put on hold the recommendation to run 3.5 in production to avoid situation that customers are bumping into some production outages.
Yeah, actually, in I mean, in our internal like the like clusters running, I think the SREs like they are very happy with it because the performance improves a lot, and because actually the reason we saw like the data like the data corruption, it is because of because we improved performance, and then the case where the failure case that we rarely seen before now becomes like easier to get reproduced. And since we fixed that in 3.5.2, I think I mean now we didn't see any other complaint from the SRE team. So I think it's very stable now.
Okay, that's great to hear. Thank you.
Let me just note that we don't see any. Okay, so let me go into the maybe second topic. So the same inconsistency issues that Piotr mentioned prompt me into looking. I think in the one of them, yeah, the first one. When looking into one of the problems that I found was that we don't have, or the cases that report, we don't have any good way to reproduce them or test them. And this is because all those inconsistency issues were detected pretty late and manually by users, and they don't have, like in this case, they don't have any idea when it happened, how it happened. There is no logs. So the problem is just it's not something. There is no automatic way that users are aware of using applying. So this led me into finding that we have an issue like this. So basically, by 3.3 release, there was a corruption checking introduced as an experimental feature, and it was dropped through, I think, but developed 4 years ago and still hasn't made either stabilized, or it was not made by default. So no one, even in Kubernetes, any public project uses this checks, making me think that if we have an enhancement that it's basically required to reliably test or reproduce problems and have users find the problems and be able to report them. We are not doing good job of tracking the issues. So I've proposed to have some way or have some way to track which features are experimental and make sure that that we are aware what features are there and someone can work on them, because we basically developed a feature that is crucial for reliability, enabled some people enable it. I know in some cases that are enabled, but most of the community is not using them, and no one is working on them or is aware to work on them. So it's the adoption is pretty low. So I've proposed to have some way to track the deprecation or track the features and work for 3.6. I think we should look through and decide to have some work towards stabilizing those features. I'm not saying that we should add new features. I think we should either we should look through our backlog and make decisions what to do with them. I think that's most of it. I've sent an issue. There's a link. I've looked through the features that are experimental currently and created an issue to track each of them. I've also created a way to track them, but it's still pretty early. So if we could have some way, to see what are experimental features and maybe move and prevent them from being closed, the issues and lost, and have some way to make sure that we move them forward, that would be great. And with that, I would be happy to hear any feedback about this, or if the process makes sense, or what should we do with those features. Okay.
One thing in the current situation of community, I think we should look whether the features have owners, like someone that declares responsibility for this feature, to not grow the code base and technical debt without this. So from documentation perspective, it would be good to maintain some table like experimental feature release, introduce contact point, release to promote or delete, something like this as a documentation page. The second thought is because this was, as you said, triggered by thinking about very specific feature that it's cluster-wide consistency checking, and probably separate decision we might make here is whether we want to potentially turn on this feature by default in patch release. It's something that goes against regular rules, but if the consistency problems are really the issue, then maybe it's better to have up-to-date reports that the problem's happening versus be out without this information. On our end, we feel confident about this consistency checking as a stable futures because we are running at that scale since 3.3. So it's not creating production problems.
So I think it makes so the first about the owners, I think it makes sense. So one of the part of the proposal that maybe it still needs to be discussed is that I would want to to have some restrictions and requirements for the feature to be graduated. So like we should, like you mentioned, we should not grow our code base. We should not allow improvements to be basically like small contributions to be a dead code. We should make sure that there is someone or have like be able to find and like delegate the work. Even if the previous owner is like changes the project, we need to be able to track and find a new owner or decide if we want to deprecate the feature. Or in case of experimental features, like if there is no value because or if the community doesn't find enough value to develop it more, maybe it's a signal for removal. Yeah, and in case of corruption, this is on the other side. This feature should be more invested. I think there was some blocking problem with the peer TLS. I haven't seen, and it was not like, and the proposed improvement for stabilization was pretty complicated. But as Piotr mentioned, I think we are running it for 3.3. Since 3.3, and it's stable, and we haven't seen any problems with corruption. So that's maybe one thing to make sure that this feature should be more adopted by users.
So we're willing probably to help maintain this, because we're gonna move to 3.5 on certain clusters, and this is worrisome, and we're gonna enable this. So we're gonna spend more time looking into this, so we can sync up maybe later, but I think we'll be running this check-in and at scale. Just FYI.
Yeah, great. Okay, if that's all the feedback, I think we can go to the next topic by Greta.
Hi, so for the QoS topic, actually, before I talk about the QoS, about 3.5, we don't have the signal at scale either. So as soon as we have it, we'll certainly provide feedback. About the QoS, I have an update. So there was a client-side change. I should post the link here. So the client-side change has been moved to API server. And the server-side change will stay here in the etcd community, but for the client side, there is an update. For the server-side change, I wanted to seek feedback, so I posted the PR. I wanted to see if this is something that's palatable to this broader audience. And I wanted to request if someone can work with me as a reviewer. Piotr has given me comments, so Piotr, if you have time, I can probably bother you a little bit on Slack and work with you on this review.
Yes, please ping me on emails directly. I'm
Email? Okay.
frequently looking at Slack, but like pitup@google.com should work. Yes.
Okay.
Well, like I like this proposal because like it's well isolated, like it's only interceptor. So from this perspective, it should not complicate the critical paths of the code. Yes, I think like overall, we need some evolution, like whether it improves situation in the real scenarios, like that it really throttles, and there is pretty complicated heuristic logic to estimate the request size, and I'm very curious whether in practice it's accurate function or it's more close to randomness. So some experimenting data study on some realistic Kubernetes load, like scalability test or something from Kubernetes usage.
Okay. Okay, I'll publish the data I have so far, but it is not what you're asking for. It is just the without no stress Kubernetes nodes. So like just bringing up the control plane and verifying that it doesn't hurt that. So that sort of testing has been done, but I'll be happy to run the tests you're suggesting and work on that. Sounds good. So that's all I have for the QoS.
Can you also CC Vivek if you do some
Absolutely.
communication? So we're
Yes.
also aware. Thank you.
Sounds good. Sure. Thank you.
Marek, you are muted. We don't hear you.
Yeah, thanks. So is there any other topic that anyone wants to bring? Yeah, we are out of topics, so I think we can finish. Okay, so thanks everyone. Have a great local time and see you next month.
So maybe one more topic, like what's like after so community to some degree with some recent moves of maintainers like was significantly hit, unfortunately. And we were to some degree concerned whether we have enough involvement and diversity in terms of like keeping the project forward, having enough view into issues like different perspective. So we reached to Kubernetes steering committee asking for potentially like help or thinking how different parties involved in the Kubernetes can delegate or involve more resources into this project as maintainers long term. So we don't get responses mostly, like we get some signals of additional commitment from the Red Hat, but like this is pretty fresh topic. Just wanted to let you know that this happened.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good time for me to jump in. I wasn't entirely sure when to do this, but so I'm Alan. I recently got hired at Red Hat on the OpenShift etcd team, and we're we obviously lost Sam to a different job. I realized that might have been a little misleading at first, but so we're still working on building up our team, and in that we will be hopefully kind of restarting our involvement with the community. And why I'm here today is to start that involvement. So at least for the foreseeable future, I'll be here, and we're hoping to get up to a team of about 5, and so probably we'll be seeing a couple more Red Hatters on the OpenShift etcd team coming into these and hopefully helping out. So it's nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Okay.
I also want to say that we at Apple also want to kind of help, but we're 2 people, me and Vivek, and we might hire another person. And but the difficulty maybe is that we need some kind of maybe coordination from you guys, what to work on, maybe how gradually ramp up, look into issues and help. So
Yes.
Yeah. And, oh, I was just going to say, yeah, feel free to, if there are PRs that need reviewing, feel free to ping me. And I'd be happy to look at them while I start to get, integrated.
So like, I think there is queue of 50 PRs to be reviewed and either accepted or dropped. So I think all this needs help. I think, like, I'm mostly looking to issues about stabilization and production quality, like some experiment, like exploratory testing that's kind of flaky currently, looking into this consistency issues. Like, I think we would be in a way better shape if we have very stable base rather than growing feature based. But that I think is the most critical currently. But like, up to your suggestions.
I think it will be good for somebody who is more experienced with this community to step up and kind of just assign certain issues, for example, or otherwise it will be maybe difficult to pick one unless you just say, hey, just go through and pick any of the PRs.
Or if you just add a tag of like, maybe this can be a good starter issue if you just want to start with getting used to etcd and the deployment or the development process, just according to someone who's experienced can tag the issue, and then we can just pick it off the queue as we go through it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's help wanted label. It's not always an easiest first newcomer issue, but I think if you're looking for one area to get to know better, like that could be a seed to, if that's interesting for you. So I would look through them. Okay, I think we are on time. So want to welcome everyone that joins, and maybe we'll be joining on Nat's meeting. Nice to have more people here. And I think we can finish today's meeting. So thanks everyone. Have a great local time, and we can meet in a month.
Take care, guys.
Nice to meet you all.